welcome back to my channel. Again, my name is Joy, and in today's video we're going to be talking about celibacy. We're gonna get down and dirty and talk about the real truth of celibacy. So as always, welcome. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button and hit that notification button. That way you can't be notified when I do post new videos. And as I mentioned in my last two videos, I believe, I do have an Instagram page now, so definitely follow me on there for daily motivations. It's Joyful Joy 2911, and as always, welcome. So yeah, let's talk about celibacy. So if you guys recall from my first video, I talked about how I got by Jesus. He bamboozled me. With all jokes aside, celibacy is something that I strongly wanted to pursue, even in my committed relationship. Throughout, I always attempted to pursue celibacy, but I always felt that I was being selfish. And, you know, I was like, you know, I'm gonna marry this guy, so, you know, who is it hurting? Well, that's not always the case, and you guys know that didn't end up happening in my situation. So I wanted to be celibate. I wanted to be celibate, and every single time I had sex, I could not go in front of God and pray. I could not talk to God. I couldn't ask him for forgiveness. I felt ashamed. I felt unworthy. I felt unclean. It was a great area of condemnation for me. And how can I say I want to serve God with all of me, my mind, my body, my soul, my everything, every fiber of my being, when I can't go to him and talk to him, when I can't pray and ask him, what's my purpose? You know, what am I here for? God, guide me in this next step, this next decision that I'm about to make. Help me. You know, I couldn't do that, and I couldn't do that because sex was an area of condemnation for me. So I decided, once I received the gift of the Holy Spirit in early 2017, that regardless of who it affected, regardless of what happened, I was going to become celibate, and I was going to serve God with my mind, with my body, and with every part of me, with every fiber that's in me. So that being the case, you know, I have seen a lot of benefits of being celibate, and I just want to share them with you, because we live in a generation today where sex is a big deal. Like, for men, if you're not out here smashing everything that's walking around in a dress, you are considered to be less than. You're considered to be, you're not a manly man. You know, something is wrong with you. And that's not how it should be, because when God created sex, he intended it to be for a man and his wife. He intended it to be part of a covenant. And one thing that I've actually been learning is God is very big on blood covenants. So the true intent of women waiting until their wedding night to share that moment with their husband was because once he penetrated you, then there was supposed to be that spilling of the blood and you guys becoming one. And that was to signify a blood covenant between a man, a husband, and a woman, his wife. right? So I definitely, for me, I definitely want to make sure that I don't, take that away from my husband. Yes, I'm not a virgin, but I still believe with me abstaining from sex right now that I'm protecting not only myself, but I'm also protecting my future husband. My future husband, benefit number one, doesn't have to worry about diseases that I might have, right? He doesn't have to worry about me infecting him with something that I might have received from one of my many partners. He doesn't have to worry about soul ties, right? Because we know when you give yourself to somebody, there is that soul tie. There is that emotional bond. And it's really hard to break away from those soul ties. You can know that somebody is not good for you, but because the sex is good, you continue to be with them because it's just good. You just don't want to leave. But that's not the case. You're going to end up with your emotions being hurt. You're going to end up crying, being devastated. And that is for both men and women. So let's get into it. Let's get into it because I really do want to talk about all the benefits that I have seen from being celibate. And the first benefit is actually time. So you are not going to have your time wasted. You are not going to have your time wasted because when you meet that right person, you both are going to be on the same page. We are dating with a purpose. And that purpose is marriage. And when you are dating with a purpose and sex is off the table, you have no choice but to get to know each other. You are going to get to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's going to help you to determine, do I want to move forward with this person? Do I want to marry this person? You get to know what you're getting yourself into. You don't have those emotional ties. And if you decide that's not the person for you, guess what? It's much easier walking away because what did you lose? Nothing. You wasted probably a few months rather than, a few years. Because once you become invested in someone, in sex, especially where you guys are having sex, your judgment becomes clouded. And you could be with someone who has anger issues. You could be with someone who's abusive. You could be with someone who is neglecting you, and you don't even see it because the sex is just good. And it just doesn't matter, And you end up marrying this person, and you don't even know his middle name. You don't even know his background. We gotta take sex off the table, and we gotta establish that foundation. We gotta communicate. We gotta get to know each other. That's the number one benefit. Is people who are only looking for a good time, they're not gonna look for you. And for me, I wear a celibacy ring. So men see this ring and they run. But it doesn't offend me. It doesn't offend me. It doesn't make me look at them different. It doesn't make me feel bad about them. It just lets me know that I've weeded out people that are not supposed to be in my life. You are not it. You are not going to waste my time, and I am not going to waste your time. The second thing, I already mentioned this, is emotional and soul ties. There are no emotional and soul ties. Once you establish that that person is not it, you can easily move forward. Every single time you sleep with someone, they end up leaving with a piece of you. Can you imagine someone who has slept with 100 people? That person is broken, because 100 pieces of you are out there in the world. Get it together. Get it together. Come on. I don't want somebody walking away with a piece of me If you're gonna have me, you're gonna have me because it's right, and you here to stay till death do us apart, right? But that's just me. That's just how I feel about that situation. I don't want somebody walking around with a piece of me, and I don't want to walk around with a piece of somebody. The other thing is, this is huge. This is really huge. Unplanned pregnancy. I do not have to worry or wake up and wonder, am I going to receive my period this month? It does not, no worry, no wonders there, because I'm not out here sleeping around with people. There are no unplanned pregnancy. And for me, I'm blessed to have come from a family where both my mom and my dad are still together. They've been married for about 30 years. And I want that type of bond that they have. You know, I want to birth my kids into such a bond, in a marital bond, right? We are in a generation where single parenthood is at an all-time high. You know, we end up with a generation of broken people because you're either being raised only by your mother, or you're either being raised only by your father, or you never knew who your father was, and now you don't have somebody to teach you how to be a man. Now you don't have somebody to teach you how to tie a tie. You don't have someone to teach you how to treat a lady. Don't get me started on that, because I will go to church on that, right? So for me, I want to give my kids the same thing that I received. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad person if you grew up in a family where you only had a single mother, or you only had a single father. Break the generational curse. Do better for your kids, right? Now, there are things that happen that end up causing, you know, you to either be a single mother, death, you know, or a single father. Things that we cannot stop, or things that we cannot foresee. But for me, honestly, I want to make sure that my kids are raised by both a mother and a father, and they're being shown what it's like to be a woman by, you know, their mother. They're being shown what it's like to be a man by their father. They don't have to go and try to look for their identity in the world, because that's where we mess up. When you start looking for your identity in the world, because you never had a man to show you that. Now you're out here walking around sagging your pants. You're out here walking around with half naked because nobody ever told you how to be a woman, right? You're out here because you're broken and you need to become whole, right? The other benefit is, I spoke about it, diseases, right? You don't have to worry about catching a disease because you don't know what that person has. You don't know, they could have an STD. Even worse, they could be HIV positive. They could have AIDS. You know, you don't know what the other person has. And the good thing about celibacy is you never have to wake up with an itch. Ever. Ever. And the other benefit is you save money. You save money on, you know, if you do wake up with a disease, an itch, you have to spend money on treatment. You know, you have to spend money on condoms. You have to spend money on Plan B if you're a woman, or even a guy. You know, you might be buying it for your woman. You're going to be saving money because birth control is expensive and condoms are expensive. All of these things are expensive, you know, and God forbid that you do have a child out of wedlock. Now, that's another expense. And kids are expensive. And if your partner decides to walk away, then that load is on you. It's on you to make sure. You have to be twice the person to try and make up for the other person. And you're not really giving your kids a true chance. if you're out, your future kids a true chance if you're out here just doing what you choose to do, right? The other benefit that for me, it's made it very easy for me to be able to hear God because I'm continuously spending time with Him. I continuously speak to Him. I can go to Him. I can ask for forgiveness for anything. I can talk to Him as my Father, and He can guide me. And that's what I've always wanted. I've always wanted that guidance, that true guidance from Him, So just to summarize it, there are some really great benefits about being celibate. Number one, you're not going to be out here having your time wasted. You don't have emotional or soul ties. You're not continuously wondering, is this person going to call me because I slept with them on their first night? You don't have to worry about unplanned pregnancy. You don't have to worry about diseases, and that you can hear God very clear. And the final one is we can break generational curses. So if you do come from, that single parenthood, and it was maybe because your mom made a mistake, your dad made a mistake, they got pregnant young, you can break that. That cycle doesn't have to continue. You can choose to break that curse by abstaining from having sex, by really going back to God and not allowing the devil to take away your joy, your peace, your happiness. Because for me, that's what he was doing. Every single time I had sex, he was taking away my joy, my peace, my happiness, my worth. Your worth is not going to be found in you sleeping around. Your worth is not going to be found in your sex partner. It's going to be found in God. And I'm very big about you becoming whole and you knowing who you are, because that's the only way that you are going to find your worth. Well, guys, this is the end of this video. As always, if you do have any questions, if you do have any comments, definitely go ahead and leave them below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button, and follow me on Instagram. Bye, love.